Hi guys, so I received a comment and it said that I'm a dramatic classic and I feel like the clothes that I have to wear are always so serious. What can I do to look more fun or more interesting? And I was really inspired to make this video to talk about the stereotypes around the classic body types and the gamine body types. So if you guys are interested in finding out your own body type, I do offer body typing services through my website and I will leave a link down below. So let's get started. So today we are going to focus mainly on Tessa Thompson on the left, who is a flamboyant gamine, and Nina Dobrev on the right, who is a dramatic classic. So flamboyant gamines look amazing in animated silhouettes, bright prints, a lot of detail, and classics look good in minimal detail, and dramatic classics can add some geometrics on top of that minimal detail, but still dramatic classics look is definitely more minimal than a flamboyant gamine's look would be. So you guys know I am all about dispelling kibby body type myths, kibby body type stereotypes, and one of these stereotypes that is everywhere is that classics are boring and gamines are fun. So let's talk about that. Let's talk about where it comes from. Let's talk about if it's true or not, and let's talk about basically all of it. So here we have the detail axis, right? So on the left we have minimal detail, solid colors. On the right we have lots of detail and bright patterns. So on the top we have classics. So classics look very elegant with minimal detail, and when they add only just a tiny bit of detail, they already look pretty fun and interesting. And then when they add a lot of detail, so when we move closer to the right to more animated fun detail, they can look a little bit ridiculous, basically. It can look a little separate from them, a little bit too over the top. And now let's look at the bottom. So let's take a look at gamines now. So gamines look good in a lot of detail, but when they wear very minimal detail, then you can see from left to right, they look pretty boring for a while until finally they add enough detail to look elegant, and then they really have to pile on the detail to look fun and interesting. So let me show you what I mean here with Tessa. So on the left, you see Tessa wearing pretty minimal detail, and I think she looks relatively boring. She looks a little bit plain, and as soon as she puts on a lot of detail, like in the middle, she actually looks really quite elegant, and that look even looks pretty understated on Tessa because she is a flamboyant gamine, and finally for her to look really fun and really vibrant, she has to wear a ton of detail, a very animated look for her to get to a point where it looks animated against her body, in contrast to her body. So that all looks pretty amazing. I really like the look in the middle. I think it looks elegant, and I think that the look on the far right also looks super fun. So here we see the same effect on the left. I would say that she looks a little bit too plain in that dress. In the middle, when she adds really a lot more detail if you think about it, but that detail does not really look like it's that much against her features, and so she looks quite elegant there in the middle. And then on the right, she looks very fun, very vibrant, and I like both of these looks in the middle and on the right on her. It depends on what she likes and what she wants to look like. You know, that's what's going to determine how she uses her own lines. And just as Tessa, as a flamboyant gamine, struggles with looking a little bit boring or a little bit plain, so does Nina Dobrev as a dramatic classic struggle with looking a little bit too over the top. So Nina looks pretty elegant and pretty serene and sophisticated on the left in that very minimal detail. And then in the middle, I think she looks quite fun and pretty interesting, and that just took a little tiny bit more detail than the look on the left. And as soon as Nina puts on a lot more detail, then that can look a little bit too over the top on her, maybe a little bit too separate from her on the right there. So that is Nina's struggle, right? Nina's struggle is that everything she puts on might be a little bit too much on her, and Tessa's struggle is everything she puts on might not be enough for her, might not be enough detail. So having said all of this, let's talk about if gamines are actually that much more fun and if classics are boring. So basically, just to drive the point home, I want to show you guys some images of classics and gamines wearing the same look, and you guys can tell me what you think about who looks more boring. So here we have Kate Bosworth, who is a flamboyant gamine. And I don't know what you guys think, but I think that those classic lines kind of make her look pretty plain, and classic lines are not going to look horrible on anyone, so definitely she's better off wearing classic lines than she is wearing, let's say, romantic lines. But I think that she looks pretty plain there, nothing too special about her. I mean, she's beautiful, but it's nothing too special. And when we compare this similar look on Nina Dobrev on the right to this look on Kate on the left with the square neckline, minimal detail, I think that Nina looks a lot more elegant and a lot more interesting actually than Kate does on the left in the same look. And in our next example, we have Jenna Coleman and Olivia Munn. So Jenna is a soft gamine and Olivia is a dramatic classic. And I think that Olivia looks slightly more interesting in that plain dress than Jenna does, and that's because Jenna needs more detail to look more interesting. So now we have another example. Jenna is soft gamine on the left, and that's Nina Dobrev, dramatic classic, on the right. And for me, there's really no competition here. I think that Nina looks much more interesting than Jenna does. I think Jenna looks just a tiny bit boring. She doesn't look bad, but she doesn't look her personal best. And finally, we have this peach look on these three ladies. So on the right, we have Rochelle Humes. She is simply a classic. And for me, there's really no competition. I think that Rochelle on the right looks magnificent and amazing and stunning in that minimal detail, and I think the other two flamboyant gamine ladies look a little bit plain and not really their personal best in the minimal detail. So I don't think it's fair to say that Rochelle as a classic is boring, because she looks the most interesting out of these three ladies wearing the same dress. So it's not so much that classics are boring and gamines are interesting. It's about the lines themselves and how they work with your own body. And another example, so again, I don't think Jenna on the left necessarily looks bad, but I do think that Rochelle looks more stunning and more interesting in the simple detail, and that's because Rochelle is a classic. I really see Kibbe body typing as finding the right clothing size for you. So when you find your right clothing size, the first question you ask is, what's my size? The second thing is you get your answer, oh, I'm an extra, extra small. And then you wonder, well, what is that, right? Imagine if you go to a stylist and you say, well, I don't know what an extra, extra small is. I'm not familiar with sizing. Then they will tell you, just go into the store and find the tiniest, tiniest thing you can find, and it's gonna look pretty awesome on you and it'll be your size, right? So that's the sizing. And then for Kibbe body typing, you ask, what's my body type? You might find out, oh wow, I'm a gamine. And then you ask the next question, what is that? And the answer is, gamine lines are really animated and they're really fun. But just like a size small is not going to look small on a size small person, then those animated and fun lines are not going to look fun and animated on a gamine. They will just look normal. They'll just look right. So here are our three gamine ladies, flamboyant gamine on the left, in the middle, soft gamine on the right, flamboyant gamine, and they just look right. They don't look like they are particularly fun and over-the-top people. They just look right. They look pretty good. They look really nice, and they look pretty elegant in my opinion. So saying that because you're a classic, then you're going to look boring, or saying that because you're a gamine, you're going to look fun, it's the same thing as saying, well, I'm a size small. All the things that I'm going to be wearing are going to look small on me now. You know, it's not true, because when you put your lines on, they're going to look different on you. They might look one way on a hanger, and they're going to look completely different on you. So let's take a look at some different clothing on, or rather the same clothing or the same types of clothing but on different body types, and see what we come up with. So we have Olivia Munn on the left, dramatic classic, and Tessa Thompson, again, flamboyant gamine. And I think that these two looks have a lot of similarities. So they have the different colored shapes, and they both have around the same level of detail. But I hope you see what I see. I think that on Olivia on the left, the look is pretty interesting and it looks pretty dynamic. And on the right, on Tessa, it looks a little bit more elegant, a little more understated than it does on Olivia. So that is the difference when a flamboyant gamine and a dramatic classic will wear pretty similar lines, pretty similar clothes, but they will look very different wearing them. They will achieve a really different effect. Now we have a bit more detail in each look. So on the left, Nina Dobrev, dramatic classic. On the right, again, flamboyant gamine. And I think on Nina, that looks a teeny tiny bit too much. Maybe she pulls it off, but maybe it's a little too much. And on Tessa, that level of detail just looks very elegant and even a bit understated on her on the right there. And now we have Jada Pinkett, dramatic classic on the left, and Kate Bosworth, flamboyant gamine on the right. And that level of detail on Jada on the left looks a little bit too much for sure. And on Kate on the right, it simply looks pretty good. It looks great. I think Kate looks great there. So now I hope we saw how the same lines can achieve a different effect on different body types. But now let's do it the other way around. Let's say we want to have some effect, we want to have some look, and we are going to achieve that look through different lines for the different body types, but in the end it will be the same effect. So here we have Nina Dobrev on the right, dramatic classic, and Tessa on the left, flamboyant gamine, and I think that they both look equally fun. That's my opinion. I think they look equally fun, and you can see though how different those looks really are. When you look at it, they look the same. They look like they're pretty fun, right? But when you really take a closer look at Tessa's outfit, she has the animated colors. She has the contrasting trim, she has contrasting cuffs, she has a contrasting neckline, she has color blocks everywhere. Her hair is also a bit more detailed and a bit less neat than Nina's hair is on the right. The only fun thing about Nina's look on the right is the pattern. Everything else about Nina's look is pretty simple. And even that look on Nina, that looks extremely fun. That's pretty much as fun as Nina can really wear probably without it looking over the top, but it really looks very fun on Nina because she is a dramatic classic. And you have to remember, Nina's hair is pretty neat. The only fun thing really about that look is the pattern, but it already looks so fun on Nina. She doesn't have color blocks, she doesn't have contrasting hem, she doesn't have a contrasting neckline, her hair is neat. It's only the pattern, and that is more than enough for Nina as a dramatic classic to look as fun as Tessa does in her super animated outfit. Now we have, again, flamboyant gamine on the left, Kate Bosworth, and Nina Dobrev, dramatic classic, on the right. And I think they both have a pretty similar look going, pretty edgy / elegant type of a look. But you could see that there are a lot of differences between the look. On the left, we have more severe hair, brighter colors, a stiffer fabric, and on the right, we have more understated makeup than we do on the left. So they both have a similar look, but they used different lines to achieve the same look. Another similar look using different lines. So on the left we have a stiffer fabric, more animated pattern. The texture of that fabric is a bit more fun on the left, and on the right we have a more understated pattern and the fabric is not as stiff, but I think that both of these ladies look like they have a pretty similar look. And again, another similar look. So they look quite similar, right? But if you look more closely, you see how much more detail there is on the left. And you also see that on the left, on the flamboyant gamine, her hair is not as neat as on the right, on the dramatic classic, and the dress has more detail, and they look pretty similar. And here is another example. I think that both of these ladies look like they've achieved a similar look, but with pretty different lines. So on the left, we have a lot more of an animated pattern, and we also have a contrasting trim, contrasting belt, and on the left, she is soft gamine. On the right, we have, again, Nina, who's a dramatic classic, and I really love this dress on Nina. It's primarily minimal detail, but it has some sharp angles around the waist there, and also around the neckline where the strap meets the neckline, and I think that looks so gorgeous on her. And I also love her angular bob, her blunt bob haircut there as well. And here she is again with this haircut. And when you compare her to Kate Bosworth, Nina to Kate, I don't really know that one of them looks more or less interesting. I think they both look equally interesting in these two images. But take a look at how different their clothes are to achieve the same look. Kate has a pretty animated neckline there, a pretty animated pattern, and she looks pretty similar to Nina on the left, even though Nina has almost no detail. Nina just has some angularity there next to her neckline, but that's about it. And when you compare these next two images of Nina to Tessa, I also don't think that one of them looks more interesting than another, even though Tessa is wearing her own lines. Look at what Tessa is wearing and look at what Nina is wearing to achieve the same look, right? Nina's look is so simple and Tessa's look is pretty intricate, and they look pretty similar. So here they are again, looking quite fun. This is probably my favorite example in this video. It took forever to find, and I just wanted to show it to you again because it took forever to find. But I really love this example because I think Nina just looks so fun. So I hope if you are a dramatic classic, you feel inspired to wear things that make you look a bit more fun if that's what you want. So flamboyant gamine lines are not fun on a flamboyant gamine any more than a size small is tight on a size small person. Here is Tessa just looking pretty elegant and pretty normal and pretty great in her ridiculously animated lines, because those lines against her features and against her body type just look normal, right? And if Tessa wants to look fun, she really has to step up the detail. So here is Tessa looking extremely fun, and you can see how much detail she really has to include, how many different textures, how many different colors she has to include for her as a flamboyant gamine to look fun. So flamboyant gamines are going to more often struggle with looking a little bit boring if they don't wear enough detail, and then when they finally wear enough detail, they will look really great and really awesome, and then to look fun, they have to wear a ton of detail. So I think that's the most accurate way to see detail as it relates to the flamboyant gamine. And classics have the exact opposite problem. Classics have the problem of every item or most items are too detailed and too much for them and can look too over the top for them. And gamines have the problem of every item is just not enough detail for them to really come into focus. So classic lines are not boring, and they're not boring on a classic any more than a size small is going to be small on a size small person, just like what I said for the gamine. So here is Nina Dobrev looking pretty good in her dramatic classic lines. She doesn't look boring. She looks completely like a normal person. She looks great. And if Nina wants to up the energy a little bit, look a little bit more fun or a little bit more dynamic, then she could do something like these three looks. On the left, we have something that looks a bit more like she's going to a party. In the middle, it looks more like innocently fun. On the right, it looks like it's pretty interesting and fun. And then we have three more looks. So we have the white dress on the left that I already talked about, and we also have that look in the middle. So I think this look in the middle is super interesting because that look is so sophisticated and it's also quite simple as well. So if you find these items and you see them in the store, you might think that, oh, well, this red shirt and this black skirt are just a little bit boring, like I want to look more interesting. But the thing is that as a dramatic classic, those things do look interesting and they do look quite chic and sophisticated on Nina, and I think she looks great there in the middle. And I also love her haircut there in the middle as well. And on the right, I think she also looks really fun. It looks like maybe she could go to a cocktail party, and she doesn't look boring at all there. And you can see that the fun details on her shirt are balanced by the simplicity of her hairstyle and the simplicity of her earrings and the simplicity of her makeup. So she balanced that quite well, and I think she looks really harmonious and really wonderful and great on the right there as well. So I think it's all about working within your own inherent beauty. So here are two images that I think represent the gamine and the classic quite well. Can you guys guess which one is which? I think it's pretty obvious. On the left, we have the gamine. We have this mixture of yin and yang, a mixture of opposites together, a very high energy set of lines. And on the right, we have a very balanced set of lines. It gives you this very balanced feeling when you look at it. And you can't say that one is more captivating than another. I think that the left is just as captivating as the right. And it's all about finding the right lines to accentuate what your body type is, what your lines are, what your body is made of, that will further make it breathtaking, further make it stunning and unique and really, really captivating to look at. When I look at Nina Dobrev here, I get a similar feeling, and let me know in the comments if you're still here and watching this 20 minutes into the video. Do you get a similar feeling looking at those balanced stones as you do looking at Nina there on the right? I know I do. And if Nina wants to up her energy a little bit, maybe be more dynamic or less serene, she can include some more details, but she doesn't have to be beautiful. She looks so amazing just like that on the left, and she looks amazing on the two images on the right as well. And when I look at Tessa, I get a very similar feeling to when I look at that image on the left. And I just think that is such a good description of the Gamine body type by Kibbe, this mixture of yin and yang, this mixture of opposites. That's the exact feeling that I get when I look at Tessa there. And if she wants to tone it down a tiny bit, look a bit more serene, all she has to do is wear just a tiny bit less detail, and she will already look so serene, so elegant there on the right. But she doesn't have to. She looks so beautiful there on the left as well. So that is it, you guys. There is no subscriber question. This entire video was hopefully the subscriber question, and it's already super, super long. So thank you for watching. If you've made it all the way to the end, leave a comment down below. Let me know what you think. Thanks for watching, and I'll talk to you next time.